Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 1986's The Karate Kid Part 2. All I gotta say to you is, I am the man who will fight for your honor. That's all I got. That's all I got. All right, so 1986, Karate Kid Part 2. And before we get into it, I got two things for you guys. One, if you want to follow us on Twitter, you could follow me at Junior D's. You could follow Corey at Idle Poncho. And two, we hit 60,000 views. I know for some people that's not a lot, but we hit 60,000 views, I think 2 days ago, roughly from when we're recording this. So I just wanted to throw a thank you to everybody who has watched and commented, and especially those who have subscribed, because that's awesome. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And just help two dorky dudes out.
Yeah, I mean, dude, middle-aged white guys are not having a good run of it lately. Help two good ones out.
Help me help you.
And with that, we're going to get into the cast of The Karate Kid Part 2. This film stars Pat Morita as Mr. Miyagi, Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso, Danny Kimakona as Sato, Yuji Okamoto as Chosen, Tamlin Tomita as Kumiko, and Nobu McCarthy as Yukie. I was going to preface it all by saying I'm going to just destroy all these names. And with the Italian name that I have, which some people think is Hispanic,
People are Germans.
People still just like crush my name when they pronounce it. So I hate when I do the same. So if I did, I apologize.
Hey, to me, it sounded good, and that's all that matters. That's what I think.
That's it. I guess. Sure. We'll go with that. So let's get into this one. The Karate Kid Part 2 opens with a 6-minute recap of the first entire movie. Did we really need that just to set up the ending to this movie?
I understand picking up from the tournament. Like, you pick up at the crane kick, because that leads right into the beginning of this, which is the crease thing, which is all set up. This is what angers me about this whole thing. We're just going to jump through all the minutia and get right to it. What angers me about this setup is it is all done for a callback at the very end of the movie for one line that you could have put somewhere else.
Yes.
Almost anywhere else. Mr. Miyagi's kicking ass all through this fucking movie on 2 continents.
Well,
throw the line in wherever.
I have a couple of issues here. One, we don't need, and I'm not going to say we don't need the full 6-minute recap, because we don't. We don't need the first half an hour of this movie. And listen, I love this movie. Truth be told, I'm a huge fan of this movie. I like this movie more than I like the first movie. And it just, that first half an hour just didn't need to be there. This movie could have started at him getting the letter that his dad was sick, and then they go to Okinawa.
Really, what do you capture? I mean, you get your recap of the entire first part. That's about, 5-10 minutes? So then you roll into Kreese, busting up his hands, and you get the honk on the nose. And then you get Daniel asking the peculiar question.
You could have killed him, couldn't you?
Hey.
Can I get into this? I really want to talk about this, because you're right. It is a peculiar question. Like, hey, you could have killed him. Did you know that? Miyagi's a baller through this whole movie. I dig him in this movie. And he was like, yeah, totally could have killed him. Settle down, son. But then he follows it up with, why didn't you?
Well, why didn't you then?
With that question, Daniel just proves that you've hung out with this dude for, let's call it 6 to 8 months.
Yes.
In the first movie. And this picks up right after the tournament in Part 2. You've hung out with this dude for probably about 8 months, and you've learned nothing about his teachings and the karate. You were just like, cool, crane kicks and shit. Why didn't you kill him? Daniel is infuriating for about a little bit more than half of this movie, but which is less than the first movie because he was infuriating the whole way through.
Yeah, dude, this Daniel LaRusso, as much as I love Ralph Macchio, as much as I love the entire Karate Kid series
Absolutely.
through Cobra Kai, I love the show Cobra Kai. It's fantastic. I'm so excited for this upcoming season. He is one of the worst characters ever, and I don't know if they wrote him like that on purpose or if the person who did write Daniel actually thought, like, this is okay for people to behave this way. Because, like you said, he's learned nothing about what Miyagi has been teaching him overall, which is you don't have to fight, period. Like, karate is used as defense only.
Yes.
Hey, could you have killed that guy? Bitch, what have we been doing this whole time? Of course I could have.
So we'll pick it up there because 6 months after the tournament, mail carrier shows up. Here's a letter. And I got an issue with the mail carrier too. Because the mail carrier drops the letter off, says, hey, you got a message from overseas, which no mail carrier has ever said that shit. Stop reading my mail, first of all, douchebag. And then he's like, hey, this place is really cool. Can I bring my wife here sometime?
Hey, this is some place you have here. Oh, my missus loves this stuff. You mind if I bring her by sometime to see it?
Get the fuck out of here with your mail carrying ass.
Some other time, maybe.
No, mailman, because we're not friends. And this isn't a home tour. You're a mailman doing your job. That is the most ridiculous shit I have ever seen in my life. Can I bring the missus by? Oh, I guess not. Read the room, shithead. You just delivered a fucking letter from Okinawa that you had to announce to everybody.
Yeah.
And, like, let the guy read his shit. He's clearly going through something. You can tell immediately by the time he takes the letter.
Exactly.
Can I bring my wife by?
So Miyagi then here tells Daniel more about the story, about why and how he left Okinawa. He'd fallen in love with Yukie, and who was arranged to be married with his best friend Sato. He was going to marry Yukie despite her parents' wishes and the whole arranged marriage thing. Sato challenges Miyagi to a duel to the death. Miyagi chooses to leave rather than fight his best friend. So now Miyagi's ready to board his plane. Because Daniel even says, like, hey, I'm going to stop by tomorrow and see you before you leave. Miyagi waits around. No fucking Daniel. So Miyagi's like, take me to the airport. He's on, like, the little skyway going into the plane. And Daniel comes freaking charging through with his bags packed. And suddenly he's just showing up saying that his mother agreed to let him go to Okinawa with Miyagi if it's okay with him. The only problem with this whole scenario is that he never even thought to ask Miyagi if it was okay until he was already packed and walking on to the plane.
Wait up, I'm coming with you. My mother said it's okay. I mean, if it's okay with you.
To take it a step further, just to prove to you that Daniel still is a dickhead from the last movie carrying over to this one, he's carrying a book with him. The book is about Okinawa's history. He only picked that book up on his way to the fucking airport in order to manipulate Miyagi into letting him go with him, which the whole point of this trip is because Miyagi's father is dying.
Yes.
And Ralph Macchio's like, yo, spring break, bitches. Allie's fucking Troy Aikman at UCLA. Let's fucking roll out to Japan. I need to get something, I need to crush some strange to get it off my mind.
No.
And Daniel finally gets around to being a human being here because he finally weaves his way into, you're more important than any college. You've always been there for me. I want to be there for you. Why didn't you come out and say that the first fucking time?
I'm going to assume it's a long flight to Okinawa. Miyagi's trying to get some sleep, and this bitch won't shut up on the plane. he just keeps popping him questions. Miyagi's like, hey, why don't we take a nap? And then the map will still be there tomorrow. Like, the book will still be there. I don't want to talk about it. And this
By
is
the way,
where...
my father is dying.
He starts asking him about the whole fight to the death thing. And Miyagi tells him that him and Sato learned under the same teacher, which was his dad. He was like, oh, was your dad going to be the referee in this fight? Cool. And he goes, no, because it was a fight to the death. And Daniel is shocked at this. And
Daniel has the understanding of death that a fucking 3-year-old does.
Yes.
He's just like, you're going to kill that guy, huh? Huh, you're going to really kill that guy. Oh, you're going to fight to the death? Who's going to be the referee? We can't talk anymore.
Listen,
we're
at this
on two different planes of intelligence.
At this point, if I'm Miyagi, I'm just putting him up in a hotel in Okinawa and just saying, enjoy the week that we're going to be there, because you're not coming with me. I'm not being embarrassed by you in my town. When they get there, they're met by Chosen, who has a car waiting for them. And before Daniel gets in the car, he shakes hands with Daniel and like crushes his hand because, you know, he's a grown man and Daniel's 17 and has no like muscle development in his body yet.
Dude, he has no frame of reference for what he just stepped into. And Chosen doing his little Eddie Haskell thing here is amazing.
Okay, I'm going to say this.
So simple. And it's fantastic.
I love his character. I love how it's written. I think he's a really good actor in this movie. Yes. And my favorite part of his character is his laugh.
And his baby. You dance very nice. Like geisha.
Let's go.
Every time he laughs, like that dickhead laugh, I laughed every single time. It was phenomenal. So
he's friggin' great in this movie. And he's such a good bad guy because he really is just carrying the stakes over type of Johnny. Where it's, you got a lot of shit going on in your own life, but nobody taught you that emotions are okay. So you're just going to beat the shit out of everybody and be a dickhead.
Exactly.
Great character and so well performed. You're so right.
Chosen and his driver then take them to a warehouse near the airport. They're met by Sato, who still holds the grudge against Miyagi. Miyagi refuses to fight Sato here. And then they all leave. Sato, Chosen, and the driver leave Miyagi and Daniel to find their own way home.
Right. And this is funny, too, because Sato walks out like, we're going to fight. Like, it's go time. Yeah. You came here for this. You know why I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you just fucking call, like, you're a grown-up middle-aged version of Daniel. Like, you need to check your fucking selfish bullshit, because my dad is dying. Nobody comprehends this but Miyagi and his ex-girlfriend.
Yes.
They're the only two that get it the entire time. Everybody else is just like, fuck it.
So they finally get to the town. Miyagi then goes to his father's house. He and Daniel see Kumiko and Yukie, and Yukie reveals that after Miyagi had left, she didn't marry Sato, and she had never gotten married.
And Miyagi kind of learns a lesson here, too, that is, like, you think you're being honorable, but sometimes just being like, life gave me lemons, fuck it, let's bail, isn't really the best strategy, because everybody lost here.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody had it, like, her entire life was over, and we're thinking that's supposed to be romantic, like, oh, I never married because you're my one true love. Great. Your life stopped.
Yes.
When he left.
Well,
like,
and
it's just...
Again, and not to give Daniel credit here, but Daniel makes the comment when Miyagi goes into the whole story, and he's like, and again, in his own, like, little Daniel LaRusso kind of way, like, couldn't you have taken her and gone to Alaska? You could have taken her and gone anywhere besides Okinawa. Like, why does it have to be Alaska? But he makes a good point, because all Miyagi had to do was, because she never married Sato, she never got married at all, he could have just left with her, gone to Reseda, wherever the fuck they live,
Yeah.
And there you go. End of story.
Yeah, no drama.
No drama at all. Later, Miyagi's father requests that him and Sato both come to see him, and he joins their hands together, wants them to make peace right before he dies. Sato's like, cool, holding hands. As soon as dude dies, he immediately goes into like, hey, you got 3 days to mourn your dad's death, and then we fight, or fuck you. We're literally standing over a dead body.
Literally turned into the girl from The Ring. And was just like 3 days. And fucking crawled back into a television. Like,
I will say this though, Sato's character is just, it's such a good bad guy. He's such a good bad guy. Miyagi then takes Daniel on the tour of Tomi. Miyagi takes him to like the fish place where he used to work and shares a story about how he was distracted. The fishnet came down, you know, with the giant spike on it, how he almost was impaled by the hook, and he calls it the drum technique. And Daniel asks to try it because, of course, he gets knocked off the pedestal. And then as Miyagi's coming down, Daniel's like, sure, I could take a 9-inch spike to the chest. I'm just going to try this shit myself. And he releases the hook on his own and barely gets away from it, like rips his shirt. And Miyagi's like, yeah, I tried that because I was a dumb kid. Something tells me Miyagi wasn't dumb like Daniel's dumb.
No, once again, Daniel is displaying his naivete over death. Like, you don't comprehend death at all through this entire movie.
No.
But meanwhile, as you know, after this happens, Daniel and Chosen, who is we find out is Sato's nephew, they have issues, obviously right off the bat. But it really starts when Daniel catches him cheating the villagers for food with the fake scale weights. And as much as Daniel's like like, oh, sir, and please and thank you, and kind of does what you should do in another country when you get there. Here, he gets that Daniel power where he breaks the thing and everybody like attacks dude, and he's like,
Let's talk sometime when you're not so busy.
First of all, this dude you're talking to is a motherfucking grown man.
Yeah. And you're
You
fucking
don't even
with his
have
money now.
You don't have muscle tone. And from the looks of it, he's a gangster. You're a bitch from Reseda. Settle.
Yeah. You rode a bike until your best friend / 50-year-old karate teacher gave you a car. Let's chill out with your fucking breaking up organized crime rings, dickhead. If he's ripping off the farmers, just let him do it.
You know what?
That's not your business right now. You take that shit up with Miyagi or even Sato, but you don't take that up with him.
You want to talk about some white people shit? I'm going to fix Okinawa in a weekend. Get the fuck out of here. Just get the fuck out of here. So then, while on a date with Kumiko, they go into a bar, which Kumiko warns him about. Says, we shouldn't go in there. We shouldn't go in there. He says, fuck it. I'm American. Let's go in there.
Daniel gets very American very quick. Like, once he breaks up this organized crime ring, his big old dick is red, white, and blue, and he just throws it over his shoulder and walks anywhere the fuck he wants to.
Yes,
he's done.
He's leaving red, white, and blue mushroom prints all over Okinawa. So they get into this bar. There's American soldiers from the base are trying to karate chop thick sheets of ice for money, which, as a side note, I do remember the Nintendo game Karate Kid, and it was a terrible game. There was one part of the game where you have to like break the that was my favorite part of the game. It's the only part of the game I ever played.
That's awesome.
So this is where we get them trying to chop thick sheets of ice for money. None of them have made it through more than a couple. Daniel, very loudly here, explains to Kumiko what they're doing wrong.
No, you gotta be strong here, not here. It doesn't make a difference.
And one of the Americans is like, hey, you're a bitch. Stop yelling so loud. You think you could do it better. Go America on these sheets of ice.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in here real quick. I'm not gonna do a PSA necessarily here. Just a little story. that paints the picture of what happens to Daniel in the real world. I was once at a bar, and I was playing pool against a couple of guys. And the guy had a shot on the 8-ball. And the way he was taking his shot, I could tell by the angle, he was going to scratch if he took that shot. So I said to my partner, very loudly, like Daniel, he hits this, he's going to scratch. He hit it, he scratched. As I turned around, I saw a pool cue flying by my head and was now in a fight with a drunken idiot who scratched on the 8-ball.
See, I told you. You gotta use your hip.
That's what happens in real life. It's not go ahead, big shot, you do it. It's pool cue goes flying past your head and you're in a fight with a grown-ass man.
That's what I'm saying. You're in a fight with a military dude who punches you dead in the face, and there is no fight. He punches you in the face, you hit the ground, Kumiko drags your fucking limp ass out into the street and then goes and gets Miyagi to wake you up. That's Miyagi does his little shit and then you wake up.
Puts it over your brain.
Chosen then here appears because one of his buddies went to go get him.
I like that scene too, where they show him coming in, the guy recognizes him and takes off immediately. That was a dope little scene in the background. Yeah,
it really was. But Chosen gets changed and shows up here really quickly. Like, he's like Clark Kent in this shit. He appears and he offers 3-1 odds here that Daniel can't break 6 sheets.
Yes.
Miyagi then steps in and takes Chosen's odds, puts $600 down, and Sato's there too. Like, all of a sudden everybody's there, and he covers Chosen's bet because Chosen doesn't have the money to cover the 3-1 odds. Daniel then meditates for a few seconds, breaks all 6 sheets. Miyagi gives Daniel his share of the money for college tuition.
Here at the end, when Miyagi goes to collect, he's talking shit to Sato. And it's like, you're trying to mend a bridge here. That's not the way to go about, like, take the man's money, because I know you're going to disrespect him here with this whole honor thing you guys got going on. If you don't take it and be like, it's cool, you're going to be even more disrespectful. So you take the money. You don't talk shit to him, man.
That's why I said earlier that Miyagi is a straight up G through this whole movie, because that's some gangster shit that you just did. And can I tell you, back then I saw this as a child. Mm-hmm. And from the time I saw this movie all the way till present day, whenever I've played Monopoly, whenever I've bet on something and won money, the phrase,
"Thank you, Sato. Pleasure to do business with you,"
and then flicking the money, like, that's come out of my mouth every time. That is one of my favorite lines in this movie.
You're such a cunt.
I loved that line, and he delivers it just on point so beautifully. And then he does the the money as he walks away. It's like, dude, you're a fucking gangster, and I dig that.
And he doesn't have this is an interesting movie, especially with the juxtaposition to the first movie, where Miyagi's a little more sly and sarcastic and witty.
Yeah.
Dude, here he doesn't have, it's like the first movie, everybody that was American underestimated him as a person.
Yeah.
So he got to have those little sarcastic moments. And here, nobody underestimates him. Yeah. Nobody thinks lightly of him, except for maybe Sato, which is like why he gets to jam it in his butt one time.
Yeah.
But dude, it's really, and I like how they did Miyagi in this movie, because you got to see a little more of his background, a little more serious role for him. I really, as good as he was in the first Karate Kid, I think he's even better in this one. Absolutely. With the story more focused on him.
Absolutely. And later that night, Daniel goes with Kumiko to the 1950s sock hop deal. Chosen's there. He beats the shit out of Daniel, takes the money he lost back, and then Daniel hits Chosen in the dick, gets his money back, and him and Kumiko bounce. This whole scene didn't really need to be there, because this is just setting up that, oh, he's a bad dude and he's got this issue with Daniel, which we already fucking knew. And then there was like this really weird, like rapey vibe.
Don't worry about the little friend, huh? We take her home.
The whole scene was just weird, and I was like, eh. And I don't need to see that Daniel's a professional fucking sock hop dancer.
Well, that's it. Let's just start at the basics here. The goddamn setting of a 1950 sock hop club, an entire dance hall devoted to that. Nobody wants to see that. Okay, we're good.
You win.
Then the whole jumping Daniel scene, that's fine. You could do that anywhere. And then, of course, it gets rapey again. You didn't have to. He's a badass, and we know he's a psycho. You didn't need him to be that kind of fucking psycho. Like, that's different level.
Yeah.
Like, that has nothing to do with honor or gangster shit. Like, you're just a fucking rapist.
Miyagi's 3 days of mourning now are over.
Yep.
Sato and Chosen show up at Miyagi's home. Miyagi's not there. Sato's like, fuck this. Apparently he went to Home Depot or some shit. He bounces, and he tells his nephew to leave a message for him. His friends grab Daniel, and Chosen then gets him in a chokehold while his friends tear up the courtyard, and Miyagi appears out of nowhere, a la Part 1. He beats up everyone, and he pulls another pimp move here after he gets attacked with the spear.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabs the spear, he puts it in the dude's face, and then he breaks it over his knee and throws it down to the ground. I was like, bro, that's fucking pimp shit right there.
Yeah, we talk a lot on this show about dropping your weapons, like in horror movies and shit. Like, don't ever drop your weapon.
Yeah.
Little note there, little star on that. Unless you're fucking Mr. Miyagi, because Jesus, you're right. That is the most gangster shit. Is to have a weapon like that. You've won the fight. You can kill this dude, and you're like, nah, bitch.
Yeah.
I ain't done with you yet, and I don't need a fucking spear to do it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Especially considering, fuck Sato for wrecking your fuck. That's not Miyagi's place. That's his dad's place. You liked his dad. His dad trained you. His dad treated you like a son, and you're fucking up that joint.
Yeah.
And not only that, you're leaving it to your fucking nephew to wreck it?
Yeah.
Come on, bro. I think that's not a good look. You can be a bad guy without being a fucking jerk off.
After this scene, Miyagi tells Daniel that, like, hey, go pack your shit. We're leaving tomorrow. Like, I'm done with this, whatever. The next day, Sato has part of the villagers' gardens bulldozed. Miyagi confronts him again, telling him that he'll fight on one condition. No matter who wins, the deed for the land goes to the villagers, because Sato owns basically the entire village. Daniel then sees Kumiko sitting alone in a house. And when he joins her, he sees that she's prepared the tea ceremony for both of them. And when the ritual is complete, the two of them kiss.
Yes, that means you're falling in love.
This shows he still doesn't understand shit about their culture, because he gets in, first thing he does, and listen, I'm not going to fault him for it. And like, hey, I'm a dumb American. I'm going to sit down. First thing I'm going to do is crack a joke.
Oh, is the seat taken?
Cool. You do you, Daniel. She immediately goes, yeah, that shit ain't funny. I'm falling in love with you. Daniel ain't in love. Can we just say that? And right there, he needs to have the conversation. Like, I appreciate this, but like, this isn't a, like, hey, we're not, Daniel isn't in love. He just needs to respect their culture. And I don't know if that's what he's doing to get through this whole ceremony thing, but I'm pretty sure them bitches are married now. And Daniel's just like,
he's like,
okay.
look, sister, I'll share an Earl Grey with you and maybe a handy or a blowy, but we're not doing the whole love ceremony thing. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Save the good tea for somebody else. Chosen's going to make you do it regardless. So just give him some fucking tea later. He'll be into that a lot more than I will be. Let's just have a good breakfast tea, chill out, and talk about maybe some hopes and dreams.
The tropical storm kicks up. They're forced to find the shelter in the old concrete bunker from like World War II or whatever. Him and Daniel see the chapel that Sato was in collapse. They run over. They find him pinned under the beam. Miyagi chops the beam, breaks it in half. They free him, take him to the shelter.
I love so much about this scene. One, Chosen's just like, yo, that bitch is dead. He didn't give a shit. He's getting out of the rain. He's not having this shit at all.
He
just got out of a
bounced.
house that collapsed. He's done. Sato, congratulations to you. Like, you got to win some sort of Bad Guy of the Year award because you're still convinced with a beam on top of your fucking ribcage, rain pouring in your face, howling winds, and you're like, yeah, you're going to kill me now, you little pussy? Everybody's watching. Go ahead and do it. I don't care. You're a baller. You are Miyagi level baller. That's amazing.
Also, hey, Sato, read the room. You have Daniel on one side, and you got Miyagi on the other. They're both lifting, and he's like, oh, you come to kill me now? No! We're trying to lift the goddamn board, you piece of shit! You want to help? But Daniel then breaks off from them to go help the girl on the tower ringing the town's emergency bell thing.
PSA here. Hi, kids. Uncle Corey here. If you're caught up on something that's maybe 2 stories, let's call it 2 stories high, and the wind's blowing and everything's coming down around you, jump off the motherfucker. You'll be fine. Don't hang on to it like it's the fucking top floor of some fucking building that's falling down. Like you're gonna fucking Yosemite Sam ride the goddamn thing all the way down. Are you crazy? And then to Daniel, doing the Tango and Cash thing with his belt.
With the
Don't
belt?
do that, kids. You're gonna electrocute yourselves.
Yes, you will.
Don't
Yes,
fucking
you will.
play with electrical wires. You will die.
But he brings her down here, and he struggles. They fall. Sato goes out and helps him. And this is what I didn't like about this scene, which Sato, like, Miyagi goes to go out. And it was all these, like, pregnant pauses. It's like, bitch, there is a motherfucking tropical storm coming through this bitch. There's a tornado ripping its ass through here. We ain't got time for pregnant pause. Hey, hand on the chest. I'm gonna go. Let me go. It's my turn to go. And then he goes.
Miyagi, let me go.
And then he gets out there, and Daniel's like, hey, you're gonna help me. And you're Sato. Bro, get this bitch, get her in there, and let's all get the fuck out of here safely. I ain't got time for your pregnant pauses. Quit that shit. But
Cut. Save the drama for your mama, as the kids say.
exactly.
I
They
don't
get
think
in,
percent.
and then when Sato gets back, he tells Chosen that he's dead to him. And then Chosen's like, nah, I'm gonna run away in a tropical storm. And he just like disappears into the night.
Now, this is what drives me crazy. Twofold. One, you were afraid of the tropical storm before. Now
Yes.
you're going to run out there because your feelings got hurt? Jesus Christ. Grow the fuck up.
Yes.
The second part is, Sato, you learn nothing? Does somebody always have to be dead to you? This guy that was dead to you and you hated, you wanted to murder him for dishonoring you fucking 40, 50 years ago, comes home. That's all you want to do is still murder him. You're going to do no, regardless of what happens. You are murdering this fucking guy, period. And then he lifts the beam off of you, saves your life, and you're like, dude, I was wrong this entire time. My whole honor way of bullshit was wrong. Hey, Chosen, go help that kid. I can't do that. I'm scared. You're fucking dead to me. Learn something, dickhead.
The next day, they're cleaning up the village. Sato joins them, hands them the deed to the land, and he begs for forgiveness. Daniel then approaches Sato here and asks if they can hold the Obone at the ruins of the old temple near the ocean, and Sato agrees, and Daniel has fixed Okinawa in a weekend.
Yes, thank you, White Jesus. Daniel asks Kumiko, says, now's the time, go ask him. She says it's not my place.
Now's a good time to ask him. It's not my place.
Again, knowing nothing about the culture, Daniel goes, fuck that shit, pushes everybody out of his way. Hey, man, you know that fucking dance? Can't do it here now. What do you say we throw it in that fucking castle you ruined for everybody else, huh? What makes you think it's your place? You're a foreigner, American. It's not your place, really, at all.
Yes.
To involve yourself in this fucking cultural discussion on where or not to hold the fucking dance.
Yes. But the dance is held that night, and Kumiko's doing her like solo dance. And after she starts, Chosen out of nowhere just suddenly slides down on the little lantern rope thing, grabs her, holds her hostage, and challenges Daniel to fight him.
Dude, he comes in quiet Storm Shadow style, bro.
Yeah, he does.
He's so quiet. I remember the scene. I will always remember that scene. I loved this scene as a kid when I saw this in the theater. I was like, oh my God. I forgot how he came in and when he came in exactly. So the whole time I'm looking in the background waiting for him, he's so quiet and you don't hear the bulbs breaking on any of those lights when he's coming down until the very end. Fantastic. Best scene in the film.
Daniel accepts his challenge, crosses the bridge, throws it into the moat, and then they fight. Miyagi and the other spectators begin using the small drums, and Daniel then begins to hit him repeatedly with the counterpunch of the drum technique.
Before we get too far to the end, again, we missed the part. You talk about these pauses that they all take.
Yeah.
When Miyagi says to Daniel, this isn't a tournament, this is for real.
Daniel-san, it's not tournament. It's for real.
Add some fucking music.
Or
the
something.
Music will help you with the drama and it will bring out...
Yeah.
It'll help you with the emotion and it will make those pauses not feel so long and empty.
Daniel-san, it's not tournament. It's for real.
No! That would have been fucking dope. I would have felt that shit.
Yeah.
Instead, I was just like, yeah, we know. He just said it's to the death. Like, we get it.
Chosen is beaten here, and Daniel does the call. We get the call back here of the nose tweak used on Kreese earlier in the movie. And I wouldn't have been so disgusted with the callback, but the whole...
Live or die, man.
He could have delivered the line. You could have shot it. I'm sure they shot it a number of different ways. But live or die, man. Like, listen, you ain't in Jersey. You ain't in California. You just got done fighting to the death. Live or die, man. That's what I got. That was the closer. That's your closer. Because after this, the film ends with Miyagi smiling and Daniel holding Kumiko. So that is your closer. That pissed me off. It pissed me off. And I loved this movie when I was a kid. It pissed me off then, and it pisses me off even more now.
I can't tell. You seem pretty jovial about it. Here's my rewrite for this, because you're 100% correct. The rewrite should have been, one, get Daniel out of this fucking Chuck Norris action karate jeans and get him some proper cultural fucking wear. You're already wearing the top of the fucking thing. Wear the bottoms too, you fucking dick.
No.
Like, that thing's cutting you and pinching you in places you don't want to get pinched.
No, and your balls are dangling out like they're at the bottom of a fucking truck hitch. But here's my rewrite, is Daniel has him beat, right? He's holding his hand up. He's getting ready to fucking do the strike. Chosen says, do it, fucking kill me. Kind of like Predator and like Arnold. Do it, fucking kill me, do it, I'm right here. Have him do that whole thing. And then he goes, wrong, comes down, or he doesn't even have to say wrong. Just comes down to strike him, stops, honks the nose, drops him. Second thing, you need something to show how they get out of there. The bridge is in the water. That crazy motherfucker who just lost his honor for like the umpteenth time to a 17-year-old kid, just chucked a butterfly knife somewhere in the dirt. He's over there, not knocked out because you couldn't kill him, and the fucking knife is somewhere along. While you're all fucking jerking each other off over your happy ending, you're getting shanked in the fucking kidney.
Yeah, you are.
Your girl's getting her throat slit, and nobody can get to you because the bridge is still in the water.
Well, let's face facts. The water's probably about 4 inches deep. So
man, that water's been in that castle for a minute, dog.
It's
dirty.
It's a bridge. We'll just call it a bridge.
That's fair.
You know, I'm not worried about, oh my God, are you going to helicopter me out? Like,
Are
I'm
you
not
gonna
worried.
be shocked to find out Daniel can't swim?
No.
All in all, honestly, it's still a decent movie. I still enjoyed it. This is and again, like you said earlier, I enjoy the whole series of these movies.
Yes.
There's a ton to make fun of.
Of course.
But because, I mean, it's fucking Daniel LaRusso, and he's just carried on his douchey ways into the Netflix series now. So there's more shit to make fun of him for now.
Exactly. Daniel's literally the kid who never learned a thing.
Yes. Yeah, and at 45 or 50, he still hasn't learned a thing. So,
No, and actually, if you think we're being too harsh on Daniel, because we got this a little bit in the first Karate Kid, that we went at Daniel a little hard, watch Cobra Kai.
yes.
They basically cover this in the first season. Everything we say about him, they cover from Johnny's perspective. It's all about fucking context, people. Don't just buy into the protagonist because somebody told you he was the protagonist.
Oh, man, you saved my life. Thanks.
It's still a fun movie. I have fun watching it.
Oh, yeah, look, there's tons of issues because, look, it's a movie made in the 80s. And in 40 years, people are going to look at the movies we're watching today and be like, yeah, there's some fucking issues with that movie. It's not all that great. So it's a perfectly fine movie. It's very entertaining. It's my favorite of the series.
Mine too.
I actually like that they kind of went against the grain in the 80s and had a largely Japanese cast playing Japanese characters.
Yes.
That was nifty.
Yeah.
That was something seemingly original for a movie made in the 80s.
Yeah.
Which was nice. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's just a good movie. You got out of the tournament stuff. He's out of high school. You get a little more realism. Of course, he's not going to die. Nobody's going to die.
Yeah.
It's a fucking Karate Kid movie, which is probably the only part where I thought it was just a little too much. Like, it's the Karate Kid. And of course, going into 3, it's like, where do you go? Nobody dies.
Yes.
You know what I mean? How do you up the stakes from now you're fighting for your life? Oh, I got to defend the All Valley against an even blonder guy now. Oh.
You know what you do to make it better? You put a guy let's put a guy with a ponytail in this one. That's what we're going to do.
Let me tell you something. Terry Silver's a Mac.
Love that guy.
Yeah, huh?
But yeah, all in all, I thought it was really good. I don't really have anything else for this movie. It's great to make fun of, though.
Oh, dude, the whole Karate Kid series is one of my favorite movies to make fun of. And I love the movies. They're good movies. They're entertaining movies.
Yeah.
They're fairly, they're not going to offend anybody. You can watch them and still get through them fairly easily and enjoy it. And again, if you're one of these people that breeds, your kids will like it too. Yeah. It's entertaining enough to sit down with the kids. So
absolutely. Well, with that said, for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews, and this was 1986's The Karate Kid, Part 2.